views of the Canadian people. Initially, I don't think anyone understood or appreciated the significance of what was happening.
The movie's gonna begin.
Now, Willie Downey, we've been traveling for so long, from east to west and west and east and north to south, traveling every direction for this world of fools. I am a young Pennsylvania. Prepare for the world of fools. Prepare for the toss and ham. Go to hell, says the white man to the Indian. Why is there so much hatred in this world? People complain about the state we're in. I am a young Kitchi Manitou, laissez-moi, oui, Kitchi Manitou, laissez-moi, oui.
I went the wrong way. I went down the crooked path. I got in trouble. I have a boy who lives with his mother now, a non-native. And I've been living in this white world for 35 years, trying to figure out who I am. So I decided to go across the country, to go to Guinnessatake, Ottawa, Montreal, and to see what it means to be a native Canadian. I am Ani Nika Nikoman. The other is difficult, but I shall sing. I enjoy life. I enjoy love. I used to be an angry young man for what the state has done to me, for ripping my parents away, for throwing me in foster homes and orphanages, for making me get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to milk the cows before I went to school. I used to be angry because all the fights I got as a child, because people were calling us Indians Redskin, Nietzsche.
Just got to tell you it's gonna be alright. I just got to tell you it's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright with me tonight.
Good, okay.
There ain't nobody here but us flyers. No, there ain't nobody here but us flyers.
No, there ain't
For a fancy dancer, a young child who's moved me many a time. Young fancy dancer. rock for many years.
Officer was dead, and abandoned police vehicles were moved in to fortify the Mohawk patrol.
About this videos. People in relation to the Kinnisataki people and the Oka crisis itself. It's been interesting all these years of getting an education and that sort of stuff. Getting an education, but it was always from a white perspective, and hanging on to a part of my distant past. I dream on my need to know myself in this mechanical age. It started this day with a dream. I argued with a being about the pleasures of art in regard to the displaced subject of history's oppression of the common soul. Ever since the natives were put on reserves in the 1800s, and after the Indian Wars, it's been pretty well downhill ever since, and Native people had to struggle for years, and they still are, just to get some sort of equal footing. Native talks of family affairs. I speak of empty dreams. Who's always in jail. Some are glad to be there. Hell rings for the common soul. European tongue industry. Alberta government apprehended all of us, the children of our family, and put us in foster homes. My brother Ronald, who split up from me in an early age, then we moved back together, and then we had Donna, Jimmy, Pat, Diane, Elaine, Douglas. Jimmy died of a drug overdose in '77, and that brought us all back together again. Because in 1974, I met my mother on live TV. CBC flew her up from Calgary when they found out that we met our sisters after all these years, and that was 1974. So I've been searching for my roots and just trying to understand myself, the anger that I carried for so many years because of what the non-native culture has done to moi, per se. So we're in a day and age that we're dealing with the monumentalization and miniaturization of cultures through architectural design, through steel and glass, through native iconography that has been with native culture since time immemorial. Now we have a Thunderbird that is placed by the Canadian Museum of Civilization, by the Parliamentary Grounds, by the National Art Gallery, and by industry, as you can see by the smoke and pollution that is coming from the exhaust. And it sort of defines the excremental culture. Everything is placed within a certain value that has been Canadianized and North Americanized. When Eurocentric values that come out of a Western culture begin to define indigenous culture, it really makes me wonder how one's individual's literacy is defined by state culture, state ideology, and the literacy of a judicial system that's trying to define land claims, power, and the allocation of power within individual rights and collective groups. So as a Native man, I ask you this question. How long will a state last before industry dies, before the resources run out, before chaos takes over order? When chaos is pushed onto man by nature, by providence, by the Creator for man's mistakes. When I talk about man, I talk about patriarchy as a whole. When the crossover of the electronic wires that connect the world, when it crosses over to the neurological wires that governs a man's thinking. What governs your thinking and what defines your value? When you wake up, when you go to sleep, U Kitchi Manitou, Gasagity Hick. Don't you know the great? And there's a time and place for industry, and the wheels that keep on turning, and the many starving bellies that go without food as economics defines state culture, and the museum defines native culture.
Down and Dirty Dog Lounge. lot of things. What is native culture mean to you? As a Canadian. How do you feel about the problem between native and non-native people right now?
It's crazy.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, as you can see, I have a very difficult time trying to talk to people about the whole relation of native culture to what it means to the sense of the Canadianism. We'll just have to see how far I go in this sort of situation.
All that Native people are having in shaping the constitutional agenda.
Do you feel the Oka situation has done anything in putting Native politics on the forefront?
I think it did, sure.
And do you feel the resolution of Oka is complete?
I don't know it very well to answer that question.
Okay, I appreciate your time, sir.
Okay. Take care.
It's just a matter of trying to get people to stand in front of the camera. How do you feel about Native culture as a Canadian, sir? What does Native culture mean to you as a Canadian, sir? All right, thank you. What does Native culture mean to you as a Canadian now? I beg your pardon? How do you feel about the rights of the conqueror? Native culture mean to you as a Canadian? How do you feel about Native culture as a Canadian? How do you feel about the rights of the conqueror? 1492, age of discovery.
It might take a long time. It's a long time-consuming process, so it might take 5 years, maybe 10 years, but it's a good start. That's what I felt for the first time.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Have a good day. Okay.
La lasciare, tirami da lasciare, a gioca sono
Maybe I'm being a bit too abrupt when I try to understand the individual's relationship to Canadian culture, Native culture, but nevertheless, the politics of the everyday defines the need and the immediacy of the individual. So if people are in a hurry, what defines that hurriness? What defines that busyness? When you look back at cultural authoritarianism, then we have to look at how the state has defined the freedom and unfreedom of the individual again. How the state culture, how history has defined the busyness of the individual. So when do we take time out to ask these sort of questions? When do we take time to be aggressive and define the needs of two different cultures? Here I sit in a mall in Ottawa. I try to understand the quintessence of urbanization, and I find myself trapped by the realms of consumerism and the needs and wants I have as an individual. I find I enjoy the lifestyle I lead, and I enjoy the opportunities that the Creator has given me. I've worked very hard for them. And I can become a farmer, and I was raised on a farm. I know how to till the land, I know all that stuff. But I don't know the native side of it. And maybe I should go back to that. But right now, I have to finish what I've started here in this society. And I have to deal with the quintessence of urbanization, the quintessence of communication, and this whole reality that is placed on us. And it's been placed on you, whether you like it or not. The Promenade du Portage.
Figure out how everything got so twisted in regards to what the issues were all about at Kinnisataki and why Native people are so disturbed about the reality of what's happening with Native people in the education and political field. To some degree, sure, the constitutional debate is really giving the Native people some sort of leverage in dealing with equality and balance of political power, and the whole relationship of sovereignty to their own laws and customs and the government of their people. I guess when you deal with Western culture as a whole, there are so many variables that relate the individual to history, to economics, and it's endless. It's this
whole journey is just going across and going to Oka itself and going to Ottawa and talking to political bodies about my views as a Canadian, as my views as a native producer, as a native performer, who's worked for 12 years in the culture sector.
It's me again. You guys getting bored yet or what? This is Ottawa at nighttime. It's pretty dead, eh?
Excuse me, sir, do you have a minute? Do you feel that the Oka situation was resolved in Canada?
Do I feel was it resolved?
Do you think it is resolved at all?
You ever heard of my aunt? You ever hear of Anna Mae Ekwash? That's my aunt. She worked for the American Indian movement.
No, go on.
She was shot in the head in '76 by the FBI. Like out of the Oka thing there, we got guys that were there fighting for their rights and everything, fighting for the land. Now they're doing jail terms. I think that should be turned around, and maybe the government officials should be doing jail terms now.
So as far
instead of the native people.
I like to say the prayer in my language, then I'll say it in English. Hamamuhtarima, semine bimam sito data. Hamamuhtarima, tamagnonan. Pues pilchik tab nanomanuska betata shliauta. Hamamuhtarima sisno tamata. Hamamuhtarina, kuitsinan, snamonanam guis matsungis muhte. Hamamuhtarima, ame estamos minugo, kaskteo mes no gap muhtetsik, muhtarima. Pomina migo mes no gap muhtetsik muhtarima. Egunik mine. Piska estamos. Hamamuhtarima, kuitsinan, snamonanam kismiosa kumatsun. Hamamuhtarima, egagon tagao teitoa. Hamamuhtarima, tumagnona. Hamamuhtarima, pomina imit swanos. Hamamuhtarima, unimit tumagnona, pues tabnanik dochikme. O Great Spirit, grandfathers for sacred directions, we ask you to be with us at this time when we are gathered here to share not only food, but our songs and our dances, to share our culture, to share our feelings and our thoughts with the rest of the people. We ask you to give us the strength to carry on everything that's going to happen this afternoon. We ask that you give us good feelings in our hearts and not to look at each other with jealousy or envy. We ask you to be with us at this time to bless our food as we are about to eat. We ask that you look upon us with pity, O Great Spirit. You are the one who watches over us.
There is racism in Canadian society, and I feel that I don't need this, and I think the Canadian public should be aware that there are racist people that want the Indians out of their land.
The cops just went by at 10 to 8, going west on Route 344 past the main blockade. There was 1, 2 more cop cars just after following the others that just went by. Okay, blue unmarked car pulled up on the other side of the blockade. Okay, a couple guys are going into the woods near where the snipers are. They've got a chainsaw. Looks like they want to knock down a tree. Okay, they threw tear gas.
Mohawk people. I just finished talking to Ellen Gabriel, and it seems there are so many conflicting stories about the Oka crisis. Stories were falsified by news reporters. The town of Oka said that this was a back road used by ambulance and fire trucks. It was also said that $3.3 million was spent to buy the parcel of land that was the whole issue about the ochre crisis, where in fact $1.3 million was spent in the allocation or the appropriation of this land. I'm at loss for words of why this all started. How the government propagated the whole incident of ochre against the Mohawk people as a whole, against the Indigenous people of Canada, to remind the Canadian public that we have been assimilated into Canadian society and we should live by the laws of Canadian society. And whereas certain proclamations from the colonial historical aspect of Canada clearly define the Native people's relationship to the colonial government, to the government of the time. And the Canadian government is doing its best to devalue any sense of historical truisms that has existed between the Native and non-Native people. And I can't help but think back of the jurors who proclaimed ignorance of not understanding the issues of Native people, and just more or less seeing the images that have typified Canada's relationship to the Indigenous people. The ochre crisis was not just for the Ginisitaki people, the Ginawagi people, but for all Native people in Canada who are dealing with an ongoing struggle against the literacy of one government and that government's relationship to economics and corporate interests. I cannot underestimate the realization of these issues and what must be done to clarify the Indigenous people's relationship to the land, to the animals, and to the air, to the trees, not to golf courses. To the Mohawk people, and to every Indigenous person on this planet, may we remind the non-Indigenous people what this land is all about. Farming those Mohawks. They took them out of there 100 years.
mediocre what?
Resolution.
No, it hasn't been resolved whatsoever. There's vast amounts of work that have to be done, especially in the illegal arena. What's going on right now with those Mohawks being thrown into jail is something that is absolutely wrong.
So, political point of view, Mr. What's your name again?
It just goes to show that property rights are more have higher status under
Human rights, then human rights, then human rights.
There was a good show on Prince Rupert. No, was it Prince Terrace the night we left? Prince Rupert on the Cree Indians in James Bay. And what it's doing to the land.
And what about New York Hydro canceling their contract?
The project, they say, was no longer economically viable. Oh, I just met him. Oh no, here we go.
Nonetheless, pockets of resistance survived.
So, basically, my experience on the trip is that I approached it very naive, and thinking that I can go in and listen to people and take my Western opinion from the west side of Canada and go into the eastern part and try to understand their political problems. Nevertheless, I'm out here in Skiddy Island with a video camera.
Again.
Again. I've got a dramatic Indian with a lot of Indian problems.
Attitude. No, but what's interesting to note is how long the Indian resistance movement has been going on, and how it, and how you can see when it, although it has never stopped, but through much force and really genocidal tactics, they were totally suppressing that Indian resistance.
Spirit of confusion.
Indian fellow who was part of the American Indian movement, and he was a leader in the American Indian movement, and when that whole second rising at Wounded Knee was coming down, and some FBI agents got shot, they, framed it on him. It's all out in the wash. He was an innocent man, yet he still remains in jail.
For what?
No, politics was a political thing around
Totally political. He's a political
even the Canadian
prisoner.
government has now come out and admitted that they should not have sent him back.
It's like with the Guinness of Talking crisis. It's like Joe, David, and Ellen, they just don't, they know they're going to do jail time, but they want to do more because how the band leaders, the band council is treating the whole incident and trying to wash it under and just negotiate their fair share with the provincial government. He felt there's no support out there, right? Even though with the Mohawk thing. And the misappropriation of fund, the misappropriations of funding in Vancouver, which I won't imply names.
I don't like that one.
It's just.
I heard that too. I just thought,
So
But yeah, no. See, that's what I mean is that there isn't that to say well, the Republican fact, being the Open fact or anything Indian things are fact, but is that how the nationally it has to be unified that it is, which it is, it's developing into that work. But unfortunately, these fellows are still going to jail for something that they should not be going to jail for.
There are people in jail for those sort of reasons that you're talking about, right? What's going to create that social change?
I mean, how come they're not
cultural revolution?
I think that if they're going to put the Mohawks in jail, that they should put those army guys in jail. They had guns. They were being aggressive. They had their own side of the story. To me, they were the criminals. They're the
political criminals, right? It's like Canada has gone through three wars now, 4 wars, and it's like how the majority of Canadian people relate to patriotism, and how that related to Oka and nationalism against such a nationalism. But one nation isn't recognized as a nation state within the global political realm, and it's just, they get branded as criminals because of the literacy of this system. So you change the literacy of the system,
the diapers of the ruling class, I would say. Once said.
Change the diapers of the ruling class. But they weren't killed when they were having the occupation. They were killed after, in very violent ways, just like a shot to the head, out in the reserve, or drive-by fire bombing.
It's like when the Red Cross brought body bags down to get us to talk. Instead of first aid.
Well, I think I learned something from this experience of traveling across Canada and working with Native and non-Native artistic cultural projects. And it's more or less like this shell. You can attach as much as you want to Native culture, but it's still going to be Native culture, no matter what is applied to it. The most important thing is respect. Cultural respect. The spirit got me. And the others that fade in the crowd. Policeman, they all have me over here. The Parliament's grounds. And I wonder if I am seen as a subversive of the state because of my beliefs as a Native individual, how I try to provide my relationship to Native society. I do feel we have laws to apply to. Mohawks charged in the 1990 land crisis at Oka were acquitted Friday by a Superior Court jury. Coming at the end of 5 days of deliberation, the verdict was immediately described as victory by natives who claimed it would send a strong message to the rest of the country. This is an issue that must be dealt with by politicians, not by the courts, says Jenny Jack, a member of the Tlingit tribe of British Columbia. The jury saw that. Jack, a lawyer who joined the Mohawks in the 78-day standoff and one of those in trial, was adamant that the verdict carried a warning to government leaders that land issues must be resolved.